This week on the Epicenter Women's Sports Podcast, we're bringing you a discussion straight from the stage at the Epicenter Women's Global Sports Summit presented by Nike. This was an absolutely incredible convening of great minds, leaders, investors, athletes, owners, and industry game changers who came to Portland for a series of events. At the end of the week, the summit at Nike, everyone came together for a full day of meaningful discussions. 4 superstars, 4 different paths, one message. Invest in women's sports and you get it back. Let's get into it.
This next conversation I'm extremely excited about because it's the proof point. It's the reason we are all here, the athletes themselves. And I know the Portland Fire just finished practice. Let's make room for them as they come in. Big round of applause. We got the Portland Thorns in the house. And I think it's only fitting we start with one of the biggest OGs of all time. I mean, let me read it off. Don Staley, I should just sit down and start reading on this. 3-time Olympic gold medalist, Hall of Famer, 3-time national, a lot of things. South Carolina redefined that program. And I'm standing here today, and I said this to her before, I'm standing here today because of a woman like her. And last year, she showed up. And this year, we called her again, and she showed up. Your legacy, you stand for legacy is what it means, and I'm so grateful for you to be here. Let's give it up for Dawn Staley! I think you're going to be inspired by this young woman. Paralympian, 7-time U.S. champion. Her story's incredible. She's done things like leading the Women's Sports Foundation. She's a powerful reminder of nothing is a limit to anyone. Your story, I'm going to get you to say it. Please welcome up here, Scout Bassett! Appreciate you. Please have a seat. All right, BC, Bridget Carleton, a Canadian. Yes, there's 2 in the house. Woo, we can finally talk about Canadian Olympians for a change. Big 12 Player of the Year, All-American, first pick for our expansion draft. And what I've heard about this woman is not what you see on the court. It's all the silent things she does as a leader off the court. Building this franchise. Let's give it up for Bridget Carleton! And last but not least, Sophia Smith-Wilson. What can we say? We've seen you grow up here in Portland. NWSL champion, NWSL MVP, gold medalist, one of the generational stars, the Portland Thorns. Most importantly, mom to Gigi, Sophia, come on up here. We talk about legacy, someone who's inspired them all, I'm sure. Actually, Sophia did talk about getting a picture with you after she won a gold medal, and her parents were freaking out about it. You're setting your own legacy. BC, her name is British Carlson, but we call her BC, okay? Just making sure. And then Soph, new mama. Let's get it started. Dawn, North Philly, right? North Philly girl, one of the greatest players of all time. Yes, please give her. I got the question here. When did you realize that you weren't just building championship-winning teams, you were building something that could actually change a community?
I think I go back to where I grew up in North Philly, and I've always had somebody in my life, or somebodies in my life, as protectors, were the guys that I was playing with in my neighborhood, because no other girl was actually playing. I think it started with them. And then, I'm boring, it's okay.
Sorry. She can come up and sit with mommy if she wants. You want? Everybody, we want Gigi on stage? Come on up, bring Gigi up.
It's nap time.
It's nap time. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And then I think when you grow up in the game, there are people that inspire you. There are people that you want to reach back in your community and touch. And I think for me, my entire career has been based on just giving. My position as a point guard is being a servant to the game. My position as a coach is being a servant to the game and a servant to my players. And I think that is what builds like community. And now that we have, 2 generations of WNBA, of a league that gives women confidence. And I mean, the players that I coach today, they only know that there's a WNBA. So it instantly gives them an opportunity to work on their games, to know that they can play professional women's basketball here in the States and they don't have to leave. And now that the collective bargaining agreement, they really don't have to leave. And I think it's been building that community in women's basketball that now has staying power. And that's what it's about.
You've done everything from an athlete to a coach. You've talked about ownership. What's something that money can literally accelerate but not create for the women's game?
I think just the fact that what comes out of our sport, the confidence, that instills, the hard work, the dedication, the perseverance that is necessary if you play a women's sport. Because not only, you didn't, when I was growing up, I didn't know. I mean, what I wanted to do was play in the NBA because that's the only thing that I saw. And then when that wasn't possible, I had to go overseas and play. And fortunately for us, we did have an outlet. And then what it's grown to today, like money really can't buy what seeing a women's professional league like in my living day and what it does for our younger generations. You can't take that away. And I think it's a beautiful thing for, Bridget to sit up here and represent the WNBA in a way that the impact is not, the impact is long, is generational. And I think that's the beautiful thing that money really can't buy. But money can buy a lot of things now. Like it can move some things, and it has moved some things. But at the same time, I think about this when I was coming here, I thought about the impact Nike made in my name in my neighborhood in North Philly, like the court that I looked it up. I couldn't remember the year that they refurbished the court. Oof. Right, I can't. So I chat GPT that, right? And it never gave me the year, but what it did do is it actually mentioned my name. Like, this is the place that Dawn Staley grew up and developed as a basketball player. And I don't know much about this technology, but I didn't know that it knew it was me. Right, asking the question, it was just almost a part of the answer. And I'm just thinking about, like, that court, so many lives have been touched and continue to be touched because I don't know what kind of material it is, but it's still there today. Like, it's still there today. And little boys and little girls go into that rec center and are impacted by it. And I'm still impacted by it. When we won our first national championship, I got a replica trophy and a trophy stand, and it still sits in there today because it is the hope that is given to a community that most people don't really care about, and resources are very limited in the neighborhood that I grew up. So it raises communities in a way that gives them hope, and maybe that hope is just graduating from high school. And that's the impact that really money can't take away.
Yesterday, so this is the second day of Epicenter Week, we actually refurbished a court in the Albina district. And you saying that, think about that. We literally could have been giving the dreams for future Dawn Staley yesterday. Let's give it up because that's pretty special. The Portland Fire did that yesterday. I'm going to quickly go to you, Bridget, because Don Staley just said your name. What is that like? Because I think there's a lot of things. Like athletes, you just see them as the invincible. But when you have a legend like that throwing out your name and talking about what you do, what's that like?
I mean, it's full circle. I'm not walking the day I walk, the life I walk, if it wasn't for the legends like Don Staley, who helped build this league into what it is now. I'd never want that to get lost. This new CBA we have, all this like bright, shiny objects we have now, we're standing on the shoulders of the OGs, and there's so many incredible players that don't get talked enough about, but they're the reason we're here. They're incredible, and just really happy she's here and on this panel with me.
There's Canadians in a house, you said a boat. You know, when you talk about your teammates, and I did get to pick their brains, and it's not even like I had to ask a question about you, Bridget. One of the biggest things they say about you is all the things that you do that never go seen. It's the behind the scenes. It's the text when someone's injured. It's the understanding of what building a culture and community. Like, where does that come from, and why is that so important to you?
I think it's how I grew up. I think it's how I've also built a career. I worked hard to get to where I am. I got cut my rookie year, made it to a team, was a 12th man, finally got some playing time off the bench, finally was a starter on a really good team, and now coming to Portland, I knew the little things matter, and the connections you have, the relationships you build with your teammates, with your coaches, everyone in the locker room, everyone in the facility you're in, saying hi, making sure everyone's doing well. Those things matter, and they create a culture that people want to be a part of. It's not just about the 40 minutes we're playing on the court. It's about those little interactions. And, sometimes you might not be teammates with people for long, but you want those interactions, those relationships to be impactful, because that's, at the end of the day, I think when your career is over, that's what matters most, is the relationships you've built, the experiences you've had with some incredible people who all have like-minded personalities and goals. So that's just important to me. And I think that's what we're trying to build with the Fire, to be important to our whole franchise.
A beautiful sense of belonging. Scout, over to you. You grew up, born in China. You went through, and I don't want to tell your story because it's not even going to do justice, but you had to create a sense of belonging where people didn't even see the opportunity. Do you want to talk a little bit about your story and what you've done and why it's so important to have this conversation now in front of everybody here who's dialed into women's sports? But you represent so much more.
Yes, I think it's important to be, and it's a very interesting weight to carry when you sort of intersect many different intersectionalities for me. And I was born in China, Nanjing, China specifically, a city of roughly 8 million people, small town. And, and when I was an infant, I was involved in a liquid burn, and that's how I suffered the loss of my right leg, and I was abandoned on the streets of Nanjing and found at a 1.5 years old, taken to a government orphanage where I lived until I was almost 8 years old. And these 8 years was, as one can imagine, just an incredibly traumatic experience, heartbreaking, but I would have never known that everything that I went through, the struggles, am I going to survive another day? All of that, the will to continue to persevere, to keep going, is laid the foundation for what I've needed to survive this life and to get to where I am now. So I'm so grateful for that, even though obviously I would never want that for somebody else. But it was really important because it's the idea that even the most harrowing experiences in our lives can mold us and shape us for things that we could have never imagined or dreamed to become, or places we could have never thought we would ever go to or belong. And I come to America. I'm don't speak a word of English through adoption. I am a actual small town of 1,200 people in northern Michigan, where you can imagine not a lot of people look like me. And I had a really hard time fitting in. And sport was such an anchor in my life of second grade, getting involved in sports. Just, I was always really active, and But I found out really quickly that having a disability made sports really challenging. And my experiences then were a lot of what young people face now that are perhaps of marginalized communities joining sports where there wasn't a lot of tolerance or acceptance or inclusion. It was okay, everybody gets to play and you scout can stand on the sidelines. And no coach came over to work with me or to help me or think of, well, how do we include this girl into practices and tournaments and games? And obviously this really led to a lot of isolating feelings, feelings of loneliness, of not belonging. And okay, people like me, we're not like everybody else and we don't belong. But it was just that will to keep going, to always show up for every season, every game. And I don't know what drove me to that, considering I never played. But what I did learn is that just being yourself, showing up is a revolution and an act of resistance in itself. And it really forced me to realize that I could be in rooms and spaces where maybe I was the only one, and it kind of forced people to sit with that, and that was important. I didn't know that then, but it just gave me so much confidence and courage in my life to know that even if you are the only one, uh, it is important to just be there and to have your voice heard, and I'm really grateful for that.
Awesome.
We just had a panel on Built for Her. What does that mean to you?
I think it can be so many different things, but when I look at the lens of my journey and my story, and I think as we sort of look at the landscape of how the world is right now, I can't tell you how important it is to create spaces where hopefully nobody feels alone. And for me, that's really been my life mission is I just want everything I do to make people feel less alone, less isolated, less othered, and that you belong. And I think there's a lot of intentional efforts in doing that. But what I would really encourage a lot of you all to think about is when we think about sport, we've done such an amazing job of growing women's sports, but I think we have a long ways to go to include people with disabilities, athletes with disabilities, and it is a sector and a population that is largely forgotten about. And yet 57 million Americans live with a permanent disability and 15% of the world's population. And I think when we're designing programs and investments and spaces, we have to really think about, are we being inclusive of these people? Are we investing in the space? We have a Paralympic Games coming up in 2 years, the first one in Los Angeles. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done between now and then to educate people about the Paralympics, who the athletes are, what the sports are, and how somebody like me participates in sports so that when they come in Los Angeles, hopefully the arenas and the stadiums will be filled and people will be tuned in. But I think there's a lot of education that still needs to happen to get the general public excited as fans of women's sports, but also to be fans of Paralympic sports.
Well, we're fans, trust us. Sophia Wilson, hi. I want to take us back to the sense of belonging because Shelly Ann Fraser-Price was up here saying she became the best version of herself after she had a child. And in Portland, we've watched you grow up and now you're a mother. And I see you, there's a spark, there's a joy, there's a difference in you. Can you talk about what walking around with little Gigi into the performance center and where you are today, how has that given you a sense of knowing who you are?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm going to try to be so serious with my teammates right there. We can never be serious. But I mean, it's just surreal. Like you said, I feel like I've grown up in Portland. I got drafted here in 2020, which is crazy. But I feel like Portland's seen every version of me. This is my favorite version of myself as being a mom. It's literally the greatest thing I've ever done. It's my most important title. I do everything for Gigi, as most people who know me know. She's my whole world, and I think just seeing this facility being built and how much Portland has grown since I've been here is just like incredible. And it's so cool to see like the Bethals, just the investment that they're making in us is just like it just goes a long way. We've been through a lot in Portland. I've been through a lot of things, good and bad, but I feel like we're in a position right now that's just so exciting. Like, it's such an exciting time to be a part of women's sports, and specifically here in Portland, I feel like we're just making so much progress, and I just feel honored to be here and to kind of show, she's little now, but to show Gigi just what it means to be a woman in sport and how you can feel so supported. So it's surreal.
When you talk about being a woman in sport, for those of you who don't know, if Sophia wears her bun a little higher, there's a whole group of girls who all of a sudden shift their hair to a little higher. Literally, I have a 6-year-old and she can't even put her hair in a bun, but she will try to do it like you do. What does it mean? Like, I don't think you ever entered this wanting to have that kind of impact. But then how do you absorb it and help it inspire you to not only be an incredible mother, but that player and that person for a community?
I mean, I think it's the best part of my job. Like, I was that little girl not that long ago, looking up to so many athletes and wanting to be just like them. And to be in that position now is just, it's why I do what I do. It's why I love what I do, because I get to impact young girls, young boys, and show them that you can dream big and make your dreams come true if you just work for it. And obviously having the support is huge, but it's like full circle to kind of be in that position that, you know, I was once looking up to these girls who do what I want to do. And yeah, I never take it for granted. It's always special. I always take time to sign autographs, take pictures, because I know that just taking a minute out of my day could, I don't know, make a little girl have a bigger dream.
Well, you're doing that. And speaking of, yeah, a round of applause for her. Speaking of bigger dreams, your dad was telling me when I was like, oh yeah, she said yes to be on the panel, and Dawn Staley. He's like, wait, what, who? Because coming back to you, like, you're here and you hear her talk like that, but you were that person that did that. You were the voice. You were the person pushing the envelope. You were the person on a press conference saying it like it is. When you start to think about the impact you've had and the legacy you had and are having, what is it that is the difference maker for you?
I think nowadays, especially young women are authentically them, and that is what brings me so much joy, because it growing up in the sport, we were just supposed to be thankful for what we were given, which really wasn't a whole lot, right? It was an opportunity, and we took advantage of the opportunity. But now when I see women and they have brands, they have following, they demand certain things for their sport, they're unapologetically saying things that need to be said, and they're protective of our game. That's what it's about. Like, and you really have to condition people to take that, because it's different. It's different because we just took things and we were just grateful for the opportunity, but we knew, like, the women that play sports, we have a different value system than the people who give us the opportunity. It's different. Our net worth is a lot different, and we speak to that, and heads roll. They do when we speak to it, and it's a great thing to see that we're being listened to, and it's a great thing to see that people who have invested in women's sports, they see a large return on their investment, and that's why they're listening now, because they're getting something back, and I think that's the most beautiful thing that women can continue to do, is continue to voice what's in your heart, right? Protect our sport, and know that we're worthy for everything that we're getting.
What do you mean a different value system?
I'll say this. You know, if I if I go and ask for a raise, like if I go, because I asked for a raise this year, we were successful. Yeah. I didn't get the raise. I didn't get the raise. I'm still fighting, but I'm still fighting because you got to be patient, right? Because our team was successful.
Mhm.
Like somebody should have been coming to me saying, we want to extend you, right? We want to give you a little bit more for having success, right? If a football team and coach has success, they don't have to ask, right? Their season's over in late November, right? Bowl games in December or January, right? Their extension is done before the bowl game. That's a month, right? So, and I'm just going to speak for me. My value system is a lot different than who writes the checks for my raise or my paycheck. And you always have to check them. Like I do make a lot of money, I do, but we're successful.
Yeah.
Like successful people should get raises in our sport. Like if that's protocol and that's the norm, I mean, I don't mind asking and I don't mind fighting and I don't mind being patient, but that should be the norm. Now, I'm gonna tell you why I didn't get a raise.
Go ahead, Dawn, tell us.
I don't get a raise because I'm the highest paid women's coach in the game.
Let's go.
So, but in the college game, but you tell me if we're not successful, if we're successful, we win, we go to another Final Four, we go win another national championship, I can't get another raise because they use this all the time, fair market value. So what's fair market value to a losing program? Losing men's program. What's their fair market value? Are they earning what their salaries are? So, that's another topic that really that y'all didn't really ask for. But you have to. Like, I don't really need the money, but I deserve the money. I deserve a raise for our success. And I'm gonna continue to fight for it. Not just for me. I fight for our entire staff and everybody that's associated with our program. Is they deserve a raise because if football or men's basketball, if they have the type of success that we're having, they get generational wealth for everybody. And you got to continue to fight for those things. And that's what I mean by, having a different value system.
At your Hall of Fame, you said, I don't want to just coach, I want to own. What would you do differently as an owner?
I think when you give a player or a woman ownership, because a lot of times there aren't women at the table when we're talking ownership, right? Perspective. Because it doesn't, I'm not necessarily saying that you need to actually act on my perspective, but listen. Because sometimes having a different perspective may increase the value of a franchise.
Love that.
Yep.
Scout, what do you want to be different because you were here?
I hope that when you leave here that you've thought perhaps about a group of people that maybe you didn't consider beforehand, but also just the idea that we've talked a lot about investment, and I want to kind of sort of elaborate on that because before I started becoming a Paralympian and on the road to becoming the Paralympics, I was living out of my car and on friends' couches and spare rooms because literally nobody was investing in Paralympic sport or really athletes. I didn't see advertisements featuring athletes with disabilities, and I didn't even know that that was possible for me. And we're here at Nike, and Nike was my first commercial sponsor. And I literally remember I was like living off of my friend's couch, and I got the call, and it just completely changed my life. And the idea that, I could have a sponsorship and be signed to an agency and have all these incredible opportunities in my life would have never been possible had somebody not seen something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And so it doesn't have to be me, but I hope that in the last couple days you have seen something here today, you have heard something that's worth investing in, and that you actually go back and make that investment, whatever it might be. And it can be money, but it also can be a resource, it could be a time, whatever that might be, is just to challenge every single person that's in here. I'm going to invest in something or somebody when I leave here. And a single a single investment can completely transform a life, a franchise, an organization, a team. And it did so for me to go to the Paralympics. And don't worry, I'm not on couches anymore, spare rooms, but I don't live in my car anymore. But it gave me gave me a credibility, a platform to be able to go to the Paralympics. And the thing that just really warms my heart now is when I hear from other athletes with disabilities through social media or at events that see that this is possible for them. That you can become a Paralympic athlete and be elite and make a whole career out of it. And that was something that was unheard of even a couple of Paralympics ago. People don't realize the Paralympic Games have not been around that long. 1980 was the first games. So really we've only seen one generation, and that have been able to experience it. And so just please go and make an investment in someone or something and see that investment through. I would never be where I am in my life if it wasn't for somebody seeing me and saying, just invest in me and giving me an opportunity to be who I am.
There's a video of you in Oregon. Round of applause for her, please.
Good job, Scout.
When we're looking through research of this, there's a video of you in Oregon, and you handed your medal to another and it's gone viral.
Yes.
I think you're doing exactly that. So thank you for showing up. Bridget Carlton, I know you guys have a plane to catch, and Vanya's going to tell me to hurry up if I look this way. You are part of the rebirth of the Fire. And this year has been electrifying. You've been electrifying. I mean, she went to the final of the three-point shootout at the WNBA All-Star, all of those fun things. I could go through it. But what do you want this city to remember about you?
Good question. I think I want to embody what it means to live in Portland, to be from Portland. I think the city, as I've learned over the past 4 months, is so accepting. You show up as yourself, you can be fully yourself, and you're welcomed. No matter where you come from, what you look like, who you are, what you believe in, you can walk into any room and be fully yourself. And I think that's the culture we're setting with the Fire. Is we have people from all over the world, but we're allowed to show up as ourselves every day, fully ourselves, no filters, work as hard as we can, have a common goal, get better every day. And that's the kind of environment we want to set with the Fire. And I'm really proud and honored to be the first of the rebirth to set that standard and live as, the people of Portland do.
When you guys yes, let's give her an applause. I know you guys have such a close connected team, because it's one of the things where when Alex makes the substitution, everyone's so pumped for each other. That culture is electrifying, and it gives energy. What is it that your team wants to embrace and tell this community in year one that no other city will embrace like Portland?
Our fans have been incredible. Epicenter is so much fun to play in. Down 20, up 20, they're electric. Because we're probably going to come back when we're down 20. I think all our teammates, after every game, we talk in the locker room about how incredible the support is throughout a long season, regardless of the score, regardless of our record. They're showing up, and we feel the support throughout the community. So we're so thankful for everyone who's supporting us. And we're going to continue to work hard and grow from here. This is only year one, so it's going to get better and better.
So if you hear her talk about year one, that's 2020, just a normal year in 2020, right? You hear her talk, and here you are, 6 years later, and you think of your journey in Portland. What's one thing you want Portland to remember about Soph now, the mom, veteran in some ways, that it's important for you to say here today?
I mean, I hope that Portland just feels like I've given everything to this city every year that I've been here. Like Bridget said, like I think Portland is just a sports city. I think we have the best fans in the league, and I feel like I can say that all seven,
Yeah.
7 years I've been here. Like teams have come into the league. There's a lot of hype around a lot of teams, but no one shows up the way Portland does year in and year out. Also, like Bridget said, regardless of what, we're always good, but regardless if we're winning, if it's raining, like whatever the circumstances are, like people show up and you just feel it every time you step on the field, and there's just truly no place like it. And I hope that I've embodied what it means to be a Portland Thorn, and just represented this city in the best way that I can.
So we're going to end. Yes, let's give her an applause. The crazy thing about athletes is they'll play in front of 90,000 people, but here they're like, okay. So you have owners, you have brands, you have fans, you have everybody here in this room. What's a call to action that you want to end with? And Soph, I'll start with you. And you're like, thanks, KK. That you have them in the palm of your hands. What do you want them to walk away from today thinking that they own when it comes to the future of women's sports?
Just that it's so open to do whatever we want with it. Like, I think it's grown so much. Like, it's hard to even believe, but I think about the direction that women's sports can go, and just like it's crazy to think about. So just, I would say, being creative in the opportunities and in the way that we're investing in women's sports and showing up for female athletes, I think it's wide open, and I think that's the most exciting part about it. So that's what I would say.
Let's go, BC. Let's make you catch that flight.
I think what Dawn said really resonated with me is, back then they continued to push the boundary. Yes, we're happy with where we're at. Yes, we're happy with where women's sports has come to right now, but there's no ceiling. And we're going to continue to push the boundaries. We're going to continue to want more for women's sports. And it's either like get with us or fall behind. Like, I think that's where it's at.
Okay, that's good. Scout?
My mission is to build a more inclusive and accessible world, using sport as the vehicle to do that. And I would just love for you all to consider, wherever you are, whatever you do, if that's part of something that you think of, in the design of whatever process you're in, are we being more inclusive and accessible? And that can mean a lot of different things, but just to look at things through that lens, because I truly believe that if you want to lift up society and humanity, you really do need to consider accessibility and inclusion really as sort of the foundation to be able to do that.
Love it. Woo!
For me, the call to action isn't just about sports. It's about treating people good. Like, it's simply. I've been in the South for 18 years now, and they have all these sayings in the South that I've actually just embraced, and one of them that sticks with me, and it's probably the way that I live my life, is when you treat people good, they treat you better. Try it. It is a thing. Like that's what I really try to treat, even like the people who clean our offices, because they got all the information on everybody. On everybody. Don't just ignore them. Have a conversation with them. They'll tell you about everybody. And this has been great. I think I hope everybody's taking something from it. I really do think that investing in women is a thing now. It really is a thing that It's not too late, but if you continue to just lean in, and if for the people out there that got those deep pockets, you will get a return on your investment. You will for sure get a return on your investment. So thank you for coming out, and thank you for listening to us.
If you treat people good,
They'll
will
treat you better, for sure.
If you treat the athletes good, they will treat you better. Thank you so much, everybody. A round of applause for our proof point.
Thank you so
Come
much.
on.
Great.